G'day, it's Brendon on the call. It's the 14th of April. It's Friday in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. You've just seen, of course, the Petronas Twin Towers, KLCC, here in central Kuala Lumpur. Well, the bullshit is flowing thick and fast. Again, none of this is rehearsed. I'm just going to spew forth my opinion on the ridiculous goings on. Let me turn down the... and I better hurry before this rain squall comes through. I have never seen so much bullshit in all my time. World War III, my ass. This is so rehearsed, it's almost embarrassing. You're going to see within 1 to 2 weeks, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump come together and say, World War III has been avoided. Bashar al-Assad has agreed to leave. A coalition is moving in to take control of the country. We'll be splitting it into 3 parts. Benjamin Netanyahu will be giggling his head off on the Golden Heights, having a barbecue, laughing his head off. Fat pumpkin head Alex Jones still cannot say the Yunnan plan. He recently had a caller on Monday, just gone, stating that, oh, it's all about the gas pipeline, and by the way, I'm sick of Israel, and I hope Iran is a balance of power in the region. And to his credit, Alex didn't lose the plot, but I just can't help but feel this is psychological warfare. Even Dr. Steve Pieczenik, I'm totally off. He's changing his mind every 5 minutes. Look, this is an operation run by Benjamin Netanyahu, the Likud party, and the Jewish neocons. That's what it is. It's not about gas pipelines, that's incidental. That's chicken feed for the pigs in the pig's trough. The farmer comes out, gets what he wants, throws the pigs some scraps. That's all that is. This is the Yunnan plan. It's a break-up to make the Middle East safe for Israel, safe for Orthodox psychotic Jews and their psychotic friends in Israel, City of London, Swiss and German banking, and of course New York. That's all this is. This is just a continuation of Jewish power's grab for world domination, with the capital city being in Jerusalem. I'm just so sick of it's not even horse pucky, it's hippopotamus shit. Because hippopotamuses do that beautiful tail wag and the shit spreads beautifully. It's a beautiful shit spread. That's what it is. And we should sort of gag on the whole thing as it goes away. They are all working together. And I'm not saying Putin is not working for the Jewish bankers. He's just one of many getting something out of it. The Middle East is well on its way, and there's probably no recourse. If you didn't know, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is running again, thank God.
Our top story, more candidates, including former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, have turned up to register their candidacy for Iran's upcoming presidential election. Ahmadinejad's registration came despite a piece of advice by Iran's leader Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, who urged him not to run. He was accompanied by his close aide, Hamid Bagheri, who also signed up for the race. After registering, Ahmadinejad said that he has stepped in to support Bagheri.
And we might actually see a possibly genuine grassroots backlash. We might actually see conferences exposing Orthodox Judaism, the Yunnan plan, the Israeli domination of the high technology industry, which is key, the domination of information, the control of information, the ability to bribe and blackmail. That's what Israel does, that's its job. And nobody talks about it. The great Dr. Steve Pieczenik doesn't mention it. The fat pumpkin-headed prick Alex Jones doesn't mention it. I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. All this analysis by the big players, none of them will say Operation Talpiot. Not one. You think about that, because that is the key to Israel's domination. No one's strung together the fact that Henry Kissinger has very kindly transferred in the 1970s all American manufacturing, heavy industry to China, thank you very much, and another Jew. And then we have Jews there down the University of Chicago School of Economics. Now they're shifting all the American high technology into Israel, to the point where now they say Israel is a technology juggernaut. All done under Operation Talpiot, all done under Israel military intelligence. And no one's talking about it. I mean, literally no one, except me and a few people dotted who are finally coming together to spread the word. It's incredible. Donald Trump is a full-blown, 100% compromised faggot piece of garbage of Benjamin Netanyahu. No more, no less. He is a rapist. He is an absolute 100% rapist. Let's have a few words from Robert Morrow. Robert Morrow, who became the president of the GOP in Texas, around Austin, Texas there, of the Republican Party with his jester's hat. Very funny, very promotional guy. Let's hear what he has to say about the entire Republican Party, Democrats, Donald Trump, the whole lot of them. Here's what he has to say. I might add before we go on that Robert Morrow wrote the book, The Clintons' War on Women, co-written with Roger Stone, or in fact it was written by Robert Morrow. Roger Stone just put his name to it. They're not friends anymore, and he's got a lot of things to say about Donald Trump, and rightly so.
This week, voters in Travis County, Texas voted for a Republican chairman, and look who they picked.
real anger tonight after a man many Republicans considered to be vulgar and brash just won control of their party in Travis County.
I'm not politically correct. I'm politically incorrect. I'm like Donald Trump on steroids, sweetheart. So get ready to have some fun reading my Twitter feed.
He actually tweeted, "I am the face of the Republican Party and I like boobies." Which is still nothing compared to my absolute favourite tweet of his, which read, "If you Google Robert Morrow 11-inch penis confirmed, you get over 11,800,000 hits. I'm just saying." This guy.
Do you think Hillary Clinton would swallow your cum, or would it be more of a Lorena Bobbitt type situation? George W. Bush is like Rick Perry. Both of them were closet homosexuals. That's my personal opinion. George Herbert Walker Bush was being provided young teen boys to have sex with. I think Barack Obama is a gay man who got married. Bill Clinton, serial rapist. Hillary Clinton, rampaging bisexual adulterer. Rick Perry, rampaging bisexual adulterer. Well, if you find out who somebody's fucking, it tells you a lot about them. You find out a lot about people being compromised. You find a lot about if they're loyal. You find a lot about if they will stab you in the back. So all these guys and women, like Hillary Clinton, for example, she's not some sort of victim of Bill Clinton. She was screwing her law partners, Webb Hubbell and Vince Foster. And once you understand that, the light bulb goes off. Oh, so you're not some little old lady at home, victim of poor little Bill Clinton and all of his hundreds and dozens of affairs and sexual assaults. No, you're a perp. You're a perp in this, and you're a facilitator of Bill Clinton. And, you know, Chelsea's the daughter of Webb Hubbell, not Bill Clinton. Folks need to know that. It tells you a lot about who Hillary and Bill Clinton are.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, Chelsea. Has your mother ever told you that you're the daughter of Webb Hubbell and not Bill Clinton?
I'm so proud to be my parents' daughter.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
One more quick question
Sure.
about this book right here.
Sure.
You say it's targeted towards teenage girls.
It's targeted actually to kids, girls and boys.
Would you say that Bill Clinton also targets teenage girls, except for sexual reasons?
Well, I believe in them. A lot of times I'm very caustic in my opinions, but I always back it up factually. For example, sometimes I'll just ridicule these political figures, so I'll give you an example. I'll say something like, do you think Hillary Clinton would swallow your cum, or would it be more of a Lorena Bobbitt type situation? And that's my way of expressing my utter contempt and hostility and dislike towards Hillary Clinton, who I know is a criminal, who murdered 76 people at Waco, who hires nasty private detectives to terrify Bill's sex victims and former girlfriends, and who is just basically a sociopathic, vicious, vile criminal. So, I'll use social media to kind of hold them accountable and to ridicule and mock and make fun of them.
And so it kind of...
Sexual shenanigans. I mean, I think that George W. Bush is like Rick Perry. Both of them were closet homosexuals. That's my personal opinion, okay? And yet they run around with Bibles and telling everybody how Christian they are and how religious they are. When there are a lot of homosexuals in Austin, Texas who can tell you what a queer Rick Perry is, and there are a certain amount who can tell you about George W. Bush and also George Herbert Walker Bush. George Herbert Walker Bush, he cheated on his wife with a longtime maid named Jennifer Fitzgerald. Everybody knows that. Every biographer knows that, okay? So yet he's presented on TV as some sort of man with great character and a family man. And then if you read the books on the Franklin pedophile ring, George Herbert Walker Bush was being provided young teen boys to have sex with. That is this guy who is celebrated in Republican Party councils, not in my council though.
So...
Well, the 11th commandment is thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican, and I throw that out the window. If they're misbehaving, if they're doing things wrong politically, they'll hear about it from me. And if they have a wildly hypocritical sexual life, especially if they're a married man and it involves adultery with strippers, hookers, and gay prostitutes, there is a prominent local Republican who I knew the manager of the Omni Hotel, the night manager, okay? And he would literally walk 18-year-old hookers up to this guy's room on the ninth floor of the Omni. Yet this guy is a well-known Central Texas Republican who runs on family values and Christian family values, okay? So I'm quite disgusted with people like that, you know.
Cheating, having an affair.
A lot, and the media covers it up. A lot of our top political figures are very compromised sexually. They're immense hypocrites. I think Barack Obama is a gay man who got married. I believe he was, when he was a state senator, I totally believe Larry Sinclair that he was having a blowjob and smoking crack while he's being, you know, sucked by a gay prostitute. That's Barack Obama. Bill Clinton, serial rapist. Hillary Clinton, rampaging bisexual adulterer. Rick Perry, rampaging bisexual adulterer. George W. Bush, this great Christian guy. Remember George W. Bush here in Texas running with the religious right? You know, if you Google George Bush, Leola McConnell, who's a Las Vegas prostitute, she talks about him filleting another guy, okay? And then you read the book, The Franklin Scandal, The Franklin Cover-Up about the Bush family, who like to pretend they're some sort of great family with character and integrity, and old man Bush is being provided boys in a homosexual pedophile ring, and he's really a queer that likes teen boys. These folks need to be exposed and excoriated, and oftentimes the media will cover it up, but I won't. Okay, so they use us, they use me, they use the political process, they enrich themselves, they're becoming tremendously wealthy. Both the Bushes and Clintons have done this. They get sweetheart deals, become multi-millionaires, and then they get presidential libraries, and then they get free Secret Service protection for the rest of their life that we have to pay for. How absurd is that? So I'm for flushing the commode on the American political system, both in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. You know what? I think her name is Tulsi Gabbard, I think it's her name, the Congress lady from Hawaii who just resigned from the DNC to support Bernie Sanders. And she did that because she's anti-war. She saw how horrible the Iraq War was. She knows what a neocon war hawk Hillary is. And so she's not down with the program. Even though the Clintons dominate the Democratic Party, she is bucking the grain on that because she's an Iraq War veteran who saw how incredibly tragic that war was, does not want it to happen again. She's backing Bernie Sanders. So I happen to like that Tulsi gal out in Hawaii. No, I'm not politically correct. I'm politically incorrect. I'm like Donald Trump on steroids, sweetheart. So get ready to have some fun reading my Twitter feed and my Facebook. It's also very educational. And follow up the links that I give to that. Like I'll say something caustic, then I'll have a link that'll follow that. I'll say, gee, I wonder if Karl Rove and Ali Akbar were having a homosexual affair. Then I'll give you a link you can follow up and decide yourself. That's a question that I want people to ask. Were Karl Rove and this blogger, Ali Akbar, who had a Grindr account and who was a friend of Karl Rove, were they having a homosexual affair? You also need to Google the picture of George W. Bush kissing the head of a bald-headed gay prostitute in the White House.
What's the problem with having a homosexual?
Well, you have to understand Karl Rove and George W. Bush based their re-election strategy in 2004 by putting a lot of anti-gay marriage amendments on the ballot in 14 different states. It was one of their biggest pieces to energize the conservative Christian base who thinks that George Bush is a Jesus-loving conservative Christian man who doesn't cheat on his wife. So they're epic sexual hypocrites. You need to Google a picture of George W. Bush kissing the bald head of Jeff Gannon. He's a bald-headed gay prostitute who was posing as a journalist in the White House press corps. Makes me wonder if Karl Rove got him that journalist's past. Makes me wonder if Jeff Gannon was having sex with Karl Rove. Jeff Gannon was a gay prostitute, who is known for having being a top. You know what a top is and a bottom? Okay, Jeff Gannon was a top, and he's running around the freaking Bush White House like he's a stray cat. Just Google this. Right. Google it. He got exposed.
You have, I don't want to say obsession, but I don't know what other word like.
I just love exposing these sexual hypocrites in the Republican Party, especially these closeted homosexual. He probably raped one of them, Ivana. If you might want to Google Trump raping Ivana. Google it. Yeah, there's a Texas journalist that's all over that. He wrote it was in court filings. When Ivana divorced Donald, she says he raped me. She put in her court filings. So I'm gonna have to believe Ivana in the court filings. Okay, I don't have to, but I kind of think that he would be narcissistic enough to do that. I just love to skewer these political sociopaths on their demented sex. Take a lot of enjoyment out of doing that, exposing them for the hypocrites and frauds they are, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, you know. I never do. I never say bad things about Jimmy Carter on my Twitter feed, do I, ma'am?
I guess I haven't.
You ought to check toothed us out of nuclear war in 1962. We came very, very close to that. And if he would have done what all the fucking experts told him to do at that time, who were gathered around him, who were giving him political pressure from the Congress, from his own administration, we've read books. Now, Kennedy was another guy who was sexually demented as well, and I love learning about and talking about that as well. But he kept the world from blowing up. So John Kennedy would rank up there pretty high on my scale. Jimmy Carter. But you know, remember I talked about nuclear war when it came to John. You have John Kennedy is one of the most sexually demented people ever to be in the White House. Yet he kept us out of having nuclear war. It comes from these demented political criminals who run our society, who are so hypocritical, so high and pious, and so protected by the scum in the mainstream media, who do not expose them for what they are. And a good example of that would be Hillary Clinton screwing both of her law partners, Webb Hubbell and Vince Foster, so she's not a victim of Bill Clinton.
Not the politicians.
No.
Your fascination with it personally.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that these people need to be held accountable and exposed for the vermin they are. And a lot of times when you find out who somebody is fucking, it tells you a lot about them. If they're screwing their secretary, I'll give you an example. The New York Times reporter, Judy, whatever her name was screwing Scooter Libby, who was the chief of staff for Dick Cheney, who was riding us into the Iraq War in 2003. And the coverage of the New York Times was the lead coverage getting us into the Iraq War, talking about weapons of mass destruction, and Saddam definitely had it. So she's getting this from Scooter Libby, who she's screwing. Okay, so we're getting screwed too. So when you find out who somebody is fucking, it tells you a lot about them. If you find out a politician is secretly a gay guy, and he's religious right on the outside, we have a problem there, okay? The lying and the hypocrisy are the biggest ones.
The Travis County Republican Party has removed its controversial chairman today. Robert Morrow gained national attention for his Twitter posts after being elected during the March primary. Last week, Morrow filed a write-in candidate for president. Party bylaws, though, say he can't serve as chairman while running for the White House. Party members have openly complained about him sending out offensive messages on social media.
I think that most people did not realize who or what he was, and there's a lot of theories on how something like this could have happened, but I think that now that he's become a little more notorious, more people would realize that he's not somebody they would want to vote for in the future.
Well, for his part, Morrow says not only is he against the move, he reminds people he is the legally elected chairman of the party.
He's quite a character. Hopefully I'll be speaking to Robert very shortly, very shortly. Listen, BB has Trump by the balls. Let's cross over to our Jeffrey Epstein, the one, the only, the Australian version of Jeffrey Epstein, well before Jeffrey Epstein, Mr. Abraham Saffron, worker for Israeli intelligence. Let's cross over to the excellent ABC production. It's like the BBC. ABC production of Mr. Sin, broadcasted in 2010. Watch this.
In an historical sense, Abe Saffron would have to be classified as Australia's most vile, amoral and absolutely corrupt criminals.
He was a small Jewish boy from the wrong side of the tracks in Sydney's inner west. He grew up to be one of the most mysterious and slightly notorious of all Sydney colourful characters. He was utterly charming, highly intelligent, an extraordinarily accomplished businessman, and if rooting was an Australian Olympic sport, Abe would probably be a gold medalist.
I think he was named by 3 Royal Commissions as being the #1 organised criminal in Australia.
He was the greatest manipulator of all. When it came to corruption in this state, no Mr. Biggs could equal Abe Saffron with his influence right to the top of the tree.
I'm not involved in any criminal activity whatsoever in Australia or anywhere else for that matter. I find the suggestion most offensive.
The mysterious Abe Saffron was born in 1919. The youngest son of Polish immigrants, he grew up above a draper's shop in Annandale in Sydney's inner west. The higher Abe reached, the further there was to fall, and he felt the need to protect his position.
He became, I think, I don't know whether it would be nervous, maybe that's not the right word, but concerned, or wanting insurance, if you will.
Saffron then realised that he was onto the embryo of a wonderful idea to preserve his invincibility forever.
Saffron ran a coterie of high-class prostitutes, call girls, and he gave them to his friends for free.
The Lodge 44, which was his motel, several of the rooms were just glorified brothel rooms.
But it wasn't entirely free as it appeared, because Saffron also had the rooms that they used tapped with listening devices and also cameras. They would take pictures of what was occurring and then present them to the victim, and they were theirs from then on.
He would have over a minister, a police commissioner, businessmen, very, very high-ranking people, people of the most highest ranks.
I believe that the police commissioners and Askin were in that position.
Anything Saffron wanted to do would be given the nod, because there was invariably a compromising group of photographs.
Look, there's no doubt that Abe did use sexual favours to bolster his power. More particularly, he wasn't afraid to use it as blackmail too if it suited him.
So basically the police ran dead on anything that involved Saffron. You know, he never got investigated, therefore he was never prosecuted. Not only that, they protected him. He never got shot at. And his whole career, when other crime lords were dropping like ninepins around Sydney, Saffron sailed through unmolested.
The small boy from the wrong side of the tracks had grown up. His burgeoning property portfolio, which included much of King's Cross, provided a veneer of legitimacy. His contacts at the big end of town spread through businessman Sir Peter Abels and leading property developers Sir Paul Strasser, John Shirodi and Frank Tiemann. The heartbeat of Sydney has always been property development, but now the city was to be transformed into a corporate hub, and inner city land values skyrocketed. Residents battled to save their homes, but the developers had Askin and the police in their pockets. As usual, Abe wanted to stay in the shadows, but that became difficult when the conflict reached his personal fiefdom, King's Cross. In Victoria Street, he became enmeshed in one of the most famous of Sydney's unsolved mysteries, the disappearance of Juanita Nielsen.
One was that it was, in large part, Saffron's dossiers that caused her to be killed.
Tony Reeves believes that it all goes back to Shirley Beager, the woman with the camera behind the mirror.
Shirley Beeger compiled the details of who the participants were. She was the booking agent, as it were, for the kids, the prostitutes, the showgirls, time, dates, places and names.
Reeves believes that at some point Shirley had had enough and decided she wanted to use the dossiers to escape Abe and start a new life.
She had made arrangements to meet a man at Checkers nightclub to sell them. Saffron sent her estranged husband, Sonny, to recover the documents and do whatever it takes. At that moment, policemen got out of a car. They'd seen it all happen.
According to Reeves, the policemen were tracking Shirley with an eye to a blackmail racket of their own. They got rid of her body and stored Abe's dossiers in the vault of a bank in the country town of Kula. Then started targeting notables, including media magnate Sir Frank Packer.
Years go by, and we catch up with the Juanita Nielsen story, and a man in Parramatta jail wrote me a letter saying that he had been hired to recover the dossiers from a bank in Koolar, west of Newcastle.
Part-time inventor and full-time criminal William Allen Honeysett was serving 28 years for bank robbery. His obsessive letters to Reeves and others outline a conspiracy involving Shirley Beeger, Abe's dossiers, the death of Juanita, and the attempt to blackmail Packer.
Packer got fed up with it, and they hired this Alan William Honeysett to go and rob the bank and recover the dossiers. He did that, copied the dossiers, and then returned to Sydney, and then was arrested.
Honeysett claimed that Sir Frank had promised to look after him.
And if he was arrested and jailed, $14,000 for each year he spent in jail, and Sir Frank Packer would use his undoubted influence to get him sprung out of jail early.
Because Abe had friends there and he loved being in Israel.
To this day, local, state and federal politics is haunted by Abe's enduring legacy, the business model for organised crime that he established in Australia.
So there you see our Jewish mafia don. He had the entire New South Wales industrial executive under control. He had all the politicians under control. And he was working with Israeli intelligence. He was running heroin into the country with his compromised Sir Frank Packer and Kerry Packer. That's how they operate, boys and girls. That's how it's done. Bribery, blackmail, control the databases, the telecommunications industry. They're running all the private subcontractors for Homeland Security and the NSA. So what more do you need? And how few are even talking about it? It's outrageous. It's outrageous. God willing, inshallah, we're going to see President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the future president, talking about that, assuming Iran is around long enough to do that. Rest assured, this is about cutting off Iran from Hezbollah and weakening Hamas, cleansing the Gaza Strip, putting in a Christian state in southern Lebanon. I'm just stealing this off Christopher Bolin and the Yinon plan. That's all. Here's what Christopher Bolin had to say about Donald Trump and his little Trump Plaza owned by Israelis involved with Israeli military intelligence.
Right. But Trump is very closely tied to the state of Israel, very closely. If you recall, the Trump Towers down in South Florida on Sunny Isles Beach, they basically created a little town in North Miami Beach called Sunny Isles Beach, and the Israelis built 3 gigantic towers on the beach, the tallest condominium towers on any shoreline in America, and they pay Trump to use his name. They call them Trump Plaza, Trump Casino, Trump. But the Israelis own them, the Deezer family, Gil Deezer. And he's tied to Israeli military intelligence and Israeli military.
Trump was brought up around the New York, New Jersey Jewish mob his entire life. His entire life. Cohen, the Jewish lawyer, I mean, come on, man. Oh, the big double cross is coming. There's no big double cross coming. Give me a break. Enough of this crap. We were like little orphans. We were desperate. We fell for it. You should be over it by now. You should be over it by now. You got to start demanding these big players start using the words Operation Talpiot. and start giving you a coherent analysis of what's going on. And what are we going to do? We're going to run after the next covert op they do, the next false flag, like little dogs with a squirrel, squirrel over there, and off we hop, and then they'll go squirrel and a false flag attack over there. Is that what we're going to do? Every day we're just going to be led this way and that, led by the nose. Go over here, now look over there, oh look over there. That's all, I mean, it's a joke. Stay focused. Bibi Netanyahu, Likudniks, Jewish neocons, control of the entire US Senate and Congress, CIA, control of CIA, control of the entire American intelligence community, via their control of the hubs, via their control of leaders of certain section chiefs of each section, completely dominated, completely bribed and compromised by Israeli military intelligence. Completely, they dominate everything. Focus on this issue, inject it into the popular culture, start demanding the big names use those words, Operation Telpio, give you a coherent analysis of what's going on and use it regularly and frequently, not once a week or once a month, every day as part of their narrative about what's going on. Israel is the key. Central banks of City of London, Israel's a military policing base. I don't even think they've got control of Netanyahu. To me, Netanyahu is Mr. Smith. The City of London is the architect. Let's cross to the Matrix. Maybe they'll explain how it all works.
I only asked to say what I've come to say. After that, do what you want, and I won't try and stop you. The program Smith has grown beyond your control. Soon he will spread through the city as he spread through the Matrix. You cannot stop him. But I can. If that's true, then I've made a mistake and you should kill me now.
What do you want?
Peace.
What are they doing? What are you doing?
Morpheus.
I won't.
Welcome back. We missed you. You like what I've done with the place?
It ends tonight.
I know it does. I've seen it. That's why the rest of me is just going to enjoy the show. Because we already know that I'm the one that beats you. believe you're fighting for something, for more than your survival? Can you tell me what it is? Do you even know? Is it freedom or truth? Perhaps peace? Could it be for love? Illusions, Mr. Anderson, vagaries of perception. Temporary constructs of a feeble human intellect trying desperately to justify an existence that is without meaning or purpose. And all of them as artificial as the Matrix itself. Although only a human mind can invent something as insipid as love. You must be able to see it, Mr. Anderson. You must know it by now. You can't win. It's pointless to keep fighting. Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you persist?
Because I choose to.
Get away from me!
What are you afraid of?
It's a trick.
You were right, Smith. You're always right. It was inevitable.
Is it over?
No, it's not fair.
It is done.
Well, now, ain't this a surprise?
You played a very dangerous game.
Change always is.
Just how long do you think this peace is going to last?
As long as it can. What about the others?
What others?
The ones that want out.
Obviously, they will be freed.
I have your word.
What do you think I am? Human?
Look, look! Just look at that. you do that?
For now.
That's nice. I know he'd love it.
Will we ever see him again?
I suspect so. Someday.
Did you always know?
Oh, no. No, I didn't. But I believed. I believed.
Just a wild theory, just a wild theory. You know all those British bankers, those British Jewish bankers wearing their wives' frilly knickers with their little weirdo, pedophile, sexual deviant habits. Netanyahu's got them all under the thumb. The Swiss bankers, German bankers, French bankers, mark my words. I actually don't believe they've got control of Netanyahu. I really don't. And the New York mob. I really don't. I think there's a little subtle war going on. It's going to be very interesting to see what plays out. We've got to focus on Netanyahu, Likudnik, Jewish neocons. That's where we've got to focus it. Let's stop getting led around. America bad, Trump bad. So we've got the nutty Trump, talking he's a newfound Christian. His wife's doing the Lord's Prayer. So we've got the crazy Christians over there. We've got the crazy Muslims in Iran, or the crazy Muslims everywhere apparently. And then we've got the crazy Jews, the Orthodox Jewish scumbag, Chabad Lubavitch and nutcases in Israel. How perfect. Albert Pike, Third World War. Crazy Jews, crazy Christians, crazy Muslims. Whatever the exact nature of what's going on, and I think it's just a plain City of London playing a game, playing its usual game to make the capital world, a capital city, Jerusalem. Just as foretold, just as what they want. The Antichrist, a quantum supercomputer sitting down there in Jerusalem somewhere. Bloody blah. That's my take on it. I don't even think they've got control of Netanyahu. Anyway, Assad is gone. Putin and Netanyahu, they're in bed together, they're best friends. Again, through Operation Talpiot, Netanyahu's running the high technology out of the United States through their SANIM network, running it into Israel. They're selling it on to the Chinese, the Indians, whoever buy it, all over the place, modifying it, making money, selling drugs, armaments, laundering drug money. That's what they do with NATO, who they control. And then they're actually palming off that high technology via their Russian Jewish, because all the Russian Jews actually are running the Israeli high technology, and they're now running that high technology over to Putin. So Russia's getting a bit of payback for the days of Yeltsin where they were just stripped bare. Russia was stripped bare completely. Now Russia's catching up on the technology stakes via that third party Netanyahu. I believe it's a marriage of convenience. I don't believe Putin's under the control of the rabbis at all. Putin is Russian, 100% Russian, first and foremost. First and foremost. And I'll tell you what, Russian Jews are always Russian Jews first. So you watch Russia, you just watch. New Lies for Old, Anatoly Golitsyn. Watch what's happening here. There's variables everywhere. I'm not saying I have all the truth, but there's a lot of things the big players are not talking about. We're going to be handing out those flyers very soon. You see the last video. We've got to get into the popular culture, Operation Talpiot, Orthodox Judaism, a racist, psychotic, religious cult. It's a terrorist organisation. It should be labelled as such, with terrorist handbooks, the Shulchan Aruch, Babylonian Talmud, books of Zohar. They're terrorist handbooks. We've got to start exposing the Israeli state for what it is. Here we've got the Australian Prime Minister, former head of Goldman Sachs, Malcolm Turnbull, dancing with a bunch of racist, homicidal lunatics. Imagine, no one calls him out and says, Australian Prime Minister dances with racist, homicidal lunatics. I mean, it's outrageous. We're not going to wait for the mainstream media. It's all a scam. It is all fucking theatre. 100%. 100% with everyone getting a piece of the pie except us. We get conned. We get scammed. Palestinians scammed. The Arab Muslim world's definitely getting scammed. And Iran might be next on the dinner table along with Hezbollah and Hamas. Christian state in the south of Lebanon, the Gaza Strip cleansed, and I mean the West Bank's gone. The West Bank's gone anyway. It's all over. There's going to be no two states. There's just going to be one state, Greater Israel. The final plan, the Anon plan. It's Brendon O'Connell signing off from Kuala Lumpur. Action aplenty. Ciao for now. And let's hope Ahmadinejad gets in.